On the road again. It's really playing games. We're on the road again. And we're going to Escadar. It's the Extinction curse. I'm the GM, Graham, and joining me are Brian is Faith the Tiefling Monk.
Hello.
Garrett is Fabian the Catfolk Rogue.
Hi there.
Ross is Oarshisk the Lizard Folk Swashbuckler.
Hello.
Other Ross is Marion the Half-Elf Oracle.
Hello.
And Patrick is Horatio the Half-Elf Wizard.
The Aeon orbs are failing, and there is a heat wave.
Yeah, no, much like our IRL world and poor Garrett in the horribleness of our dying world, so is Galarian. So are the Aeon orbs of Galarian that have sustained specifically the Isle of Kortos and the Isle of Arran, where these, in the middle of the inner sea, that have been thrived, that were brought up from the sea by Eredin, and these Aeon orbs are supposed to sustain them, give them life and whatnot. They are failing. They are dying. You found out this problem when you went and explored the Zulgath-infested Arran Tower, and got bestowed with this unique power from the Aeon orb on top of there, where you unfortunately lost your traveling companion Petra. But since then, you've had a circus performance in the tiny farming town of Aberton. Went very well, much better than your last show there. You went and discovered that as you were trying to bring the halfling druid that started all this mess and killed your ringleader, that she was in cahoots with this Bellini who called herself a scholar, a religious scholar, and offered to information about the Zulgaths and their plot and what they're hatching and where they're coming from. You decided instead to beat her up and try to stop her from, using her corruption and possession magic upon your party members to varying success. Managed to recapture Nemia Bramblecloak, the halfling, but your try, as you might, to stop Bellini, this succubus in disguise, she managed to dimension door away and escaping her grasp. However, things have settled down since then. You got some gold from the animal staff, have a bit of funds and whatnot, and everything is ready, everything is prepared for you to make the journey to Escadar, to try and, one, get more funds and get more profitable circus show. Aberton can't really sustain you for that long, and maybe make your way further on this journey of what to do about these Aeon orbs and the Aeon towers. So you have a few days of downtime during your journey, so I wanted to ask if there's anything in particular you wanted to try to accomplish on the journey, or before you arrive in Escadar.
I have some crafting to do.
Yes. Crafty. I think we talked about that before. You're trying to move some enchantments around, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so that'll take me. That's three runes to move 3 days. Plus one for. Let's see who's getting what. +1 for Oarshisk, a +1 for Faith, and a striking rune for Fabian.
Oh, thank you.
We all now have. And you are paying for them, so please remove the cost from your inventory. But they are all automatic with my proficiency.
How much does that cost again?
The striking is 3.5. No. Oh, it's 6.5 for the striking. Do you have that much?
Yes. I'm okay. Gold?
And it's 3.5 for the other two.
I can do that.
That is 3.5.
Yep.
Or 3 gold and 5 silver.
Alrighty. So you get some enchantments moved around, some magicalness into your weapons. Anyone else trying to do something on these 3 days, or you want to go ahead and make it to Escadar?
It's 3 days?
Yes. Journey takes about 3 days or so.
I can't think of anything that I could finish in that time. I don't know. Could I, like, ask roust about some of the crew if they've been to Escadar before? Kind of gather information.
Sure. So a good number of your circus does have a history in Escadar, is familiar with it, or has been there. You all have been there at least, well, probably except for Faith, since she's pretty new. But the rest of you have spent a decent chunk of time in there. It is, this sprawling city. It's the biggest city, or biggest settlement on the Isle of Arran. Still doesn't come anywhere close to Absalom. But is been around for a long time, has kind of got a bad reputation. As a lot of nefarious and illicit activities go on in this port town. It's also kind of like stacked up over the years, so there's a lot of newer buildings stacked on top of older buildings, stacked on top of older buildings still. So if you go down, it has a lot of basements and foundations and stuff that go into plenty of nooks and crannies to hide in. It has a pretty decent sized harbor, so it's, just brings in all types, so it's a good place for a circus. It's a good place that Mistress Dustlight took advantage of to set up the Celestial Menagerie and this permanent entertainment compound. You all know kind of where that's located in relation to town. It's a little toward the outskirts, but kind of toward the western side of town. And it's a permanent establishment. It's not like a rotating circus. There's a big top tent and a few wooden buildings that surround and that are like all enclosed in this fenced in and forested around area. So it's like that's a compound. It's a stronghold, essentially, that she's developed outside of town, and it's kind of become an institution, even though that Mistress Dustlight is herself horrible and a bad person, or a bad cat person. She's a cat folk. But
cat people are people too.
It's true.
Oh.
Yes. So there's no kind of additional rumors or things like that. I mean, people are talking about when those three performers, including Victor Volcano, who is now with you. I suppose that since you have Victor Volcano on your side, trying to think if he would kind of reveal any additional information. He doesn't want to talk about it very much. He's still a little afraid that, having defected officially from there, he's in the same boat as you all, but a more recent betrayal, so there may be things that she's trying to do to specifically hunt him down. He's pretty worried about Jellicoe Bounce still being alive and what he might have reported back, so... in general, he's saying to be wary of everything and everyone, because she is cunning, she's conniving, she's only grown worse over the year or so than since you've defected to form the Circus of Wayward Wonders. There's a lot of talk about this angel, this Asimar bodyguard that she has under her sway, and is completely 100% smitten with her, just follows her word to a T. And a lot of her inner circle is like that. They just have a filter or something where they don't process the horrible things that she does and serve her unswervingly loyally. Either she blackmails them or has something on them that they don't question what she commands them to do. So yeah, just a lot of grim warnings and dire situations revolving around Mistress Dusklight.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So the items that you did ruins for, Patrick, those hand wraps, right? Was 2 of them? What did they give?
They give you a +1 item bonus to attack rolls.
Okay.
With unarmed attacks.
Got it.
Well, if we've done our homework and gotten some information and prepared yourselves, a few days' journey will bring you along the roads, your circus caravan rattling along. It's thankfully a fairly peaceful journey. It is slowly getting into you're just now, as you come into Escadar, getting into the month of Neth, and just about the tail end of fall, so it is nice and cool, crisp air, and as you're getting closer and closer to the city, a bit of that moisture, a bit of that salt air comes in, especially on the last leg of the journey. As you're coming in, you can see the ocean rising before you, occasionally some storm clouds brewing off a distance, but you manage to escape most of the rain. As you all come into Escadar. The sharp tang of salt permeates the air, and the gulls that swoop and cry overhead mark the city's proximity to the sea. Grandiose buildings at the city's center rise above sprawling markets and squalid tenements. Proud ships sail in and out of the harbor with the wind as laborers and travelers mill about the docks and quays. The tide of humanity ebbs and flows throughout the port city. Hawkers pace the crooked streets and shout various offers to passerby. Fishmongers sing out the daily catch, traipsing in meandering paths through crowded markets. Armed guards in navy blue uniforms with bronze badges patrol the busy intersections, their eyes scanning the crowds. Dirty-faced urchins dart underfoot, seeking dropped coins or untended purses. Walking through the streets of Escadar is similar to peering through the pages of history, as newer projects are built practically on top of older buildings. Foundations millennia old support brand new structures, the city growing proudly higher and higher. So you all have officially come to Escadar at this point. After the travel, it takes kind of a day. The wagons are still on the outskirts of the city, trying to gather yourselves and figure out what your next move is in the city. The professor, being your kind of mentor and grandfatherly figure through all of this, still acknowledging you all as the leaders of the circus, but he has some advice. The professor comes in, says, "All right, we've made it. It's fortunate, at least. So, my thought is that we should establish ourselves proper here. If we can gain official support and add legitimacy to our claim to be a performance here, that may help in having some allies when invariably Mistress Dustlight gets word of our actions. I suggest, if you think to pursue this legitimacy, that you start in the Conclave Square. It's where most of the civic buildings and whatnot are, and hopefully there's someone there that can give our plight the proper hearing that it deserves."
Are we going to set up camp outside the town then? Or are we going to... Well, I guess there's no room in the city, right?
Most likely not. Escadar is infamous for being cramped and not a lot of room. There may be some places on the outskirts of town, but I'd rather get the okay before we just start setting up our tent.
All right. We'll do that.
I'm glad. Best of luck to you. If you need any help, please just come let me know.
We should park our stuff as far away from stuff as is possible. Other side of the city.
Yep, you do the exact opposite. Like the far east, and her complex is on the far west of town. Alright, so gathering all your things. Since you've had several days to rest and recoup and heal and whatnot, you definitely have your hit points back, spell slots, all kind of that good stuff is all good and ready to go. So,
what time of day is it?
So this is kind of the following day when you arrive, because you actually arrive in town on a Sunday, and pretty much everything is closed in the official capacity. So it's the following day, which comes to Moon Day, the 2nd of Neth, 4720, when kind of in the 9 o'clock in the morning, when businesses are beginning to open, government functions are starting. when the professor gives you the suggestion.
We should.
Oh, Horatio, this seems probably up your alley. The logistics and all whatnot.
You just don't want to talk to government.
Do we know anything about the square? What we might find there?
So Conclave Square, it kind of as a fun fact, used to be a collection of closely constructed buildings where Eridan's priests handled the island's civic matters, and it is expanded and connected generations ago, and now it's a single sprawling structure with several blended architectural styles, and it is home of Escadar's Lesser Council, City Guard, and licensing offices. And pretty much all the rest of you who were in the circus, the Celestial Menagerie previously, know exactly where it is. It's this big, square plaza that has a big bunch of bunch of buildings of different architectural styles all cobbled together almost. And that's where they do their government.
Are we gonna have to apply for a license to perform? Are we gonna have to deal with bureaucracy in this place?
Are we going
Probably.
to have to deal with bureaucracy in this place, Graham?
That is the professor's suggestion, is that we go through the proper channels to add legitimacy to our claim, mostly in a trying to get kind of an ally, get the constabulary on our side, and when invariably Mistress Dustlight tries to pull something.
It's always good to have friends.
Alrighty. So, if nothing else stops you, proceeding into Escadar proper, for the first time for some of you in quite a while. I don't know if Faith has ever been to Escadar. It's up to you. It's kind of a big town.
It's my first time.
You see a bunch of close and packed buildings. It's very claustrophobic by comparison to a place like Aberton.
You didn't miss much. I was miserable here.
I bet this place has more than one police officer though. They probably have like an actual jail in case we have to arrest somebody.
Hopefully we don't have to do any more of those citizen arrests.
So, who among you is heading up your effort to find who you have to talk to, where you have to go to fill out the paperwork, and get the proper channels?
That seems like Horatio's bag, and I will help.
Is there a bureaucracy skill?
That would probably be society.
Let's see here.
Or diplomacy.
Yeah, I have society. I have diplomacy.
Okay.
I have
I'm certainly not going to do the talking.
accounting lore.
So, Calder Brothers, Horatio helming the effort and Marion kind of helping out. Having been here before and knowing a little bit about the town, kind of look around, see some signs, talk to a few people in this conclave square, and you gather pretty quickly that the person to talk to is Andera Paldrine. She's the new chief constable of Escadar, and she would have to kind of approve and okay a circus moving in addition to many of her other duties. So you determine that this is the person to talk to, but there's kind of a front desk attendant letting you know that she is in meetings for most of the day. If you want to wait around for her schedule to open up, you're certainly welcome to do so.
Can we make an appointment?
She doesn't have appointments available. It's just kind of like a walk-in only right now. See if there's something opens up.
We need to take a number.
Find somebody who has a lower number and bribe them.
Sure, you could start.
I was at a high number, but that would be a really bad idea.
You can start trying to coax anybody else who's here to see her.
I'm happy to be patient.
Horatio,
Pull out my
Horatio
journal, start writing.
casts patience in the party. Well, sitting down with your journal, something to do. The rest of you, if you've not brought entertainment, are in for a rough time because it takes 6 hours of waiting. And get kind of hungry, kind of cranky, tired, just heavy eyelids. It's like,
I mean,
oh,
like, we
God.
don't all have to wait at once. We could, like,
Someone go out for food, someone come
someone
back.
could go out for food.
Are we all there, or
I mean, don't split the party, but I just suggested we split the party.
You send somebody out for food and you get, some lunch while you're waiting. I think this is like fucking ridiculous. But luckily, blessedly, at the end of those 6 hours, a guard-like figure comes to fetch you. And you see this human man coming forward saying, you're the ones here to see the constable, yeah? Circus folk? Pleased to meet you. I'm Derek Castalet. I'm one of the deputies. If you wouldn't mind following me, we got an opening now.
Very well, Mr. Stalin.
He gives you a curt nod and ushers you back into an office. This circular office, paneled with rich brown wood, contains a writing desk, shelves stacked with records, and a row of chairs positioned near the door for visitors. A framed painting of a kestrel in flight hangs in a place of prominence behind the desk. A metal stand to the west displays an ornate falchion and a battle-worn breastplate polished to a brilliant shine. A small, muscular woman sits behind the desk, dressed in a dark blue uniform with a golden badge of office pinned to the left shoulder. The shield-shaped badge bears an engraving of an osprey with a fish clutched in its talons. The woman listens intently to the individual sitting across from her, a smarmy human man in a striking royal purple suit, only a few buttons and ruffles shy of garish. The woman's hawk-like gaze darts to the open door, and she holds up a hand apologetically to the man in purple. Thank you, Delamar, for bringing this issue to my attention. If that's all, though, it appears that I have another appointment. And you see these figures arrayed around you. As Derek Castalet kind of comes and ushers you in, starts to bring in some chairs from outside for the five of you. Kind of goes and closes the door behind you, stands by the door, kind of on the way out. You see this Delamar fellow kind of look around. How fortuitous. Might I stay here, Madam Paladrine, while you have this meeting? Andera kind of puts her head in her hand. Fine. I suppose. You all are here about a permit of some sort, trying to set up a new circus here in town, is that right?
That's exactly right.
I see. Well, I'm the one to talk to about that, but, I suppose there needs to be a bit of a discussion here. A bit of a, understanding that we can come to, because I have had some reports, and you see Delamar kind of smirk and twirl his mustache a little bit, and Dara says, I'm not ready to give them full credence, but Delamar here was saying some rather accusatory things about your Circus of Wayward Wonders, and I would very much like to hear from your side why you believe that the Circus of Wayward Wonders deserves a place here in Escadar, and what you think you bring to our city. I can't believe that I have to listen to competing circuses as part of my job description, but that's where I'm at. I'd much rather be out there fighting crime, but I suppose a distracted populace is less likely to start stealing things, so... Delamar kind of comes in. Yes, but really, do they need the kind of distractions that a murderous circus would provide? I tell you, the things I'm hearing out of Appleton are quite disturbing. And Dara puts up a hand to
How
him.
much, Mr. Delamar? How much did Duskalite pay you just for today?
Oh,
What's your rate?
uh,
50 gold to come and spread lies about us?
You do me a disservice, sir.
Have you ever even been to Aberton?
Ooh, well, I have not, but I'm
You look
hearing
like you've
reports.
never been within 2 miles of a pig.
Ugh. No, how would I? Ugh. He kind of starts to like get a little red and hot under the collar, and Dara says, "All right. We're not going to squabble like children here. This is my office. I am the chief constable. But let's hear your arguments." And so, as you begin the process of trying to convince Andera about your case and to have the Circus of Wayward Wonders here in Escadar, I would like everyone to roll initiative using either deception or diplomacy.
Man.
I mean, it's exactly the same.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, but we can
We don't have tokens.
I'll pop you on the
but-
board.
select diplomacy
Thank you.
on the drop down.
Derek. Of course his name isn't Derek. What was I thinking?
He seems like a
Derek.
Derek.
Obviously, Derek inspired.
Whoops.
I'm clearly paying a lot of attention to this meeting, just like I always do.
Alrighty. Alright, so let's put on some negotiation music, shall we? Let's see. Alrighty, so he gets this Delamar Gianvin, who quickly pointed out to be just a, smarmy asshole, most likely under Dusklight's employ. But he got really high on his initiative. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. During this social encounter, what you're attempting to do is convince Andera of your plight. You have a few things you can try to do to win her over, plus anything you might come up with on your own accord. You are kind of the default actions. The main one is to try to persuade her, either with the diplomacy, deception, or maybe a lore skill, to try to do so. You can try to aid that by supporting an argument, giving somebody else essentially +1 bonus as if you aided them on their check. You can try to demonstrate talents, prove that you circus folk are as you say you are and are performers. That involves a performance check to kind of win her over. And you can try to discredit Delamar or the Celestial Menagerie and try to point out that the Celestial Menagerie is horrible, and so is this Delamar guy. So, first things first, Delamar, after kind of getting roasted a little bit by Horatio, pipes up and says, well, Andera, if I may, the reports I am hearing from this pig-infested town that they were doing their little muddy performances in is that they did a murder. A murder. I know, it's terrible, but they murdered one who was coming to challenge them. There's a traditional circus brawl, a circus, excuse me, a performance off, a dance off, maybe you can call it. But during that, it escalated so to the point that they murdered. They can't be trusted. If they're going to be here and try to entertain, they shouldn't be killing people. And Derek kind of like looks at him, squints her eyes, but then kind of looks back and turns to Derricus. Derricus kind of shrugs. And then Delamar says, and furthermore, can you really trust a circus that's not been around as long? They don't have the pedigree that Mistress Dustlight in the Celestial Menagerie does. You know that we are entertaining and that we've been here for years. And intends to convince her further. But she kind of rolls her eyes. That's things the way they've always been is not a bad argument no matter what you're trying to argue about. It's alright to bring something new to the table every once in a while. And that kind of shuts Delamar up for a minute. Marion.
A murder.
I'm going to refute some of his points, I think.
Alright, trying to discredit Delamar.
Yeah.
Alright.
Or discredit Dusklight in particular.
Sure, go ahead and you can either do a circus lore or a society check.
Okay. What? I mean, I don't know. That doesn't fit with what I'm trying to do.
What skill do you think you're trying to use on this?
Diplomacy.
Okay.
Because I want to explain why our circus is newer.
Okay. Sure, go ahead and make a diplomacy check. 26. All right.
Well, okay. You see, the reason why our circus is newer than the Celestial Menagerie, and indeed it is. But the reason why it's newer is because we are all expats from that circus. You see, Mr. Dusklight does have quite a long pedigree, but it is a pedigree of cruelty and bloodshed. We only sought to escape her.
And Dara nods. I've occasionally heard some troubling things about Mistress Dustlight, and that does sound plausible. And striking out on your own, that's a worthy endeavor. Kind of nods at Marion's words. Fabian, what are you trying to bring to the table?
Okay, I am going to use deception and refute that, we participated in any kind of murder of any of their people. First off, like, where is this body, if you're claiming, and where are your witnesses? Lots of people have left Mistress Dustlight's circus over the years, often secretively, like myself, in order to avoid further, future prosecution. And who are we relying on here? I mean, who's your expert testimony, your eyewitness?
Awesome. Go ahead and make your deception check.
Ooh.
28. All right, not bad. So, Andera continues to nod, and, the Cod folks got a point that, if there needs to be witnesses. I mean, one person is just hearsay. I can't really do anything about that. If there was a murder, I need more proof, more evidence. That burden would lie on you, Delamar. Seems to be getting a little bit frustrated. Horatio, what are you doing?
I would like to discredit them.
All right. Try a side of your circus
Society
lore.
check. $27.
27. Okay, what are you saying in general to discredit Mr. Just Like the Circus?
Let's see.
Or
Already
Delamar.
gone. We've already gone. Yeah, I mean, look at this man. Who could he possibly have in a tiny little town that you maybe have barely heard of? He's entirely making things up for Dusklight. He probably doesn't even like her himself. She just pays him.
I mean, that was our relationship for years.
Delmar getting a little hot under the collar. He has to undo the big first button of his garish purple coat. He's like, Oarshisk, what are you doing?
I'm going to point out through either Fabian or Horatio that I'm going to try a society check.
Sure.
Basically indicating like you've heard the word around town. I mean, I stayed here for a few years. I know that people talk about what she's done and things like that. Surely, any of her actions or people coming from her circus should be suspect, or I guess not necessarily taken with a grain of salt.
Sure, you can try a society check. Oh, is that a natural 20?
It is.
Oh shit. Let's see. Wow. Let's see. The thing about a critical success. Oh, I see. Okay. So what happens is, pointing all this out and just having signed through Horatio there, Delamar like tries to interrupt a few times, but then you just keep going, and he's like, and you see him kind of like get his rapier stuck on the desk, and he just seems to get more and more frustrated as you point out all these things about his apparent employer and who he's defending. He's getting just very hot and bothered under the collar. Faith, what are you doing?
Is he trying to draw his rapier?
No, he just like is trying to maneuver. He's sitting down, and he's kind of sitting next to the desk. So he moved over and like it got caught on there, and he's kind of embarrassingly trying to like move it back. You can tell just by the way he handles it, he doesn't know how to use a rapier at all. It is purely for affectation.
Darn, that's kind of disappointing. Oh God.
Let's go fight him.
Well, I haven't been around a circus as nearly as much as any of the other people in this room, I assume, except for yourself. But one thing I know about our performances is they are highly entertaining. And I would like to demonstrate that fact by trying to juggle, because it seems like it's kind of a small room. I don't really want to do like a huge acrobatic display.
Alrighty. Yeah, you can start to pick up some stuff on the desk and start juggling it. You can make a performance check.
Ooh. I was hoping you were going to say acrobatics, but I will try performance. Ooh, oh no. Oh.
So you try to like juggle a few things and kind of throw some stuff up in the air. You see Andera gets pretty annoyed by this and then starts to just like take the things from you one at a time. She has pretty quick reflexes. You can tell that she does know how to wield a sword. She does that for a few times and then just kind of puts the stuff back and says, I understand you're a circus, but please do not juggle my office effects if it doesn't feel the same to you. Words, not juggling, is what will convince me to issue this permit. Just as a word of caution. And seems to kind of shut down the performance side of things. It gets back to Delamar. He's little frustrated and saying, "Well, be this as it may, you are still taking a risk on. Do you really know what these new circus is capable of? And also, where are they going to perform? There's no room in Escadar. What place is there for them? This is just so complicated, and I know your work is so incredibly important, Mr. Spalding. It's just Officer Paldrain, please." Of course, Officer Paldrain. So he tries to recover a little bit, but is a little off about everything. So he's not able to kind of... His words are not quite as honeyed as he would like them, as you seem to have thrown him off balance, and Dara is still a little bit wary of anything he has to say. Back to Marion. Is there anything else you wish to... You don't have to keep presenting new arguments. Basically, you can still try to rehash some of the old stuff here and try another check without having to go through and figure out exactly what you say on these circumstances.
Right. We'll find the venue ourselves.
No. That's a pretty persuasive argument. Probably a diplomacy check again. Ooh, 29. Damn. Yeah, with that, she kind of, nods to Derricus. Derricus in the back is kind of nodding at this point. Delamar's getting red in the face, and still, racking his brain of things he can say to discredit or throw you all off, but not working at the moment. Fabian.
Okay, I will try to diplomacy. There's so many people have just defected from the old circus. I mean, we're basically not that big when you think about it. We're really just the same number of people that used to work at the old circus. I'm sure you've heard that they've reduced. I mean, there was enough room for us all then.
All right, another fair point, another fair argument you can use a diplomacy on.
I don't work through that in my head, and I'm like, can't decide if that's a fair point or not.
So, do you see Andera also tries to do the math a little bit? And it's like, you do have another 10th, though, right?
Really,
more wagons.
It's less people because there's at least 2 that have died.
It kind of perks up a little bit about
probably
the dead people.
Point that out.
Doesn't seem quite as swayed by Fabian's argument.
Well, you count
yeah.
the lion tamer.
Yeah. Horatio, how do you say this?
Oh, you're muted.
I would like to talk about how successful we were. And that we are coming here because we have exhausted sort of our opportunity in Aberton. And I want to I can even show her the ledger if she...
Pull out the books.
Yep.
Bookkeeper.
Look at this.
Look at this. Look at what we're doing. Sure. Another diplomacy check.
Did I do society for that one? I can do diplomacy, though.
Yeah, trying to sway her directly kind of
To
with
us,
arguments
okay.
of diplomacy. Yeah.
I'll roll diplomacy.
24 is good. She's nodding approvingly. Delamar is just almost like tearing out his hair. He's like, it seems to be just about to lose it. Arshis.
So, tell me if I can do this. If not, that's completely fine. You can reject my idea. So being stage manager, right? I was aware of a lot of the behind the scenes stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And his point was that where we put it, there's not a good place. I'd like to think on maybe something like stealth or sleight of hand in order to think of consider a possible location that would put it out of place or put it in a reasonable place but still where there's room. That makes sense.
So what's your lore skill? Is it circus lore? Yeah, I think how to fit a circus in a certain way to minimize the space it takes up would be an adequate circus lore check. to like, how does this work out logistically? Being the stage manager and all. 22 will do it. You kind of like sketch out these diagrams and whatnot, and just very, nice fine hand with the lizard-like claws now wrapped in these magical hand wraps, going through and sketching out like, oh yeah, if you do this, and oh, here's some city map, well, this could work out right here and whatnot. And Dara's nodding along and following your drawing, occasionally asking questions, try to follow up on it. And the entire time, Delamar is just like fanning himself until finally, in a very overly dramatic show, he slams his hand on the table and says, "That's it's quite enough. I think I've heard everything I want to hear today. It's hot in here. There's too many people here, and there's too many circuses in Escadar." And very, with a flash of his coat, goes up, snags the rapier again on the desk on the way out. Derek kind of opens the door and watches him go, kind of chuckles to himself, closes the door behind him as Delamar leaves this procession. So, as he leaves, the rest of you alone in the room, and Dara says, "Well, I think that settles it. Could definitely be in a welcome diversion. Another circus. I think this town is large enough for two. Probably no more than two. But no, I think you can do it. I'll go ahead and approve and sign off on this. So, as I do this, it comes with a warning. I hope you don't make me regret approving this by special request. Also, that all entertainment companies within the city of Escadar are required to pay the city 5% of their earnings as a tax to the city. Also, I'm giving you 2 weeks to set up your camp, set up your circus, and have your first performance. We want you to get working. If you're going to be here and going to be doing this, we can't just have you lazing about, taking up some space, some real estate in Escadar. So 2 weeks is what you have for your first performance. Finally, I do appreciate your, it was Arshisk, I believe, the logistics and the plans you've laid out here. They're good ideas, but honestly, I think the best place for you is going to be this plot of land on the outskirts of the town, not too far from where your wagons are currently. You see, it's been unoccupied for some time now, and she kind of points out to this little, plain that's sort of situated by these hills and a forest what looks like a little tiny pond in that area. And she says, it's very easily accessible from the city. There's a road that goes right past it, but it's pretty overgrown. A lot of the wildlife and plant life has been reclaiming this area by the pond. But if you are able to do this, it's kind of a win-win scenario for me. If you're able to tame the area and make it so your performance can perform in peace, then that takes care of some wild overgrowth on the outside of the city, and then also we have a diversion. We have some place for some people to go for some more fun in this town. Well, if that sounds like an alright arrangement with you, then I'll go ahead and sign off on these papers, unless you have any other questions for me.
We thank you for your time.
You said this plot was abandoned?
Yeah, there's been some rumors going around that there are some wild animals in the area that have grown a little aggressive as of late, and people don't really want to go down that road, and the brambles have come around. But the plain itself adjacent to the forest should be large enough for your tent and for everything. You may just want to, do some culling and some landscaping while you're over there.
Is that going to dissuade people from coming to the performance?
Not if we clean it up.
She
I don't think we have more boars
nods,
to deal with.
nods at Marion.
No, not a boar. No.
That's a Horatio.
Wasp
I
then?
refuse.
Flark. Maybe it's Flarks.
Don't think it's Larks, but
As long as it's not those smelly
Cockatrices?
things.
Do
Or cockatrices. That would also be bad.
do the rumors have any specific
Uh, well, one or two that I've heard. What was Derricus? What was it that they were saying was in the area? I believe it was wolves, man. Wolves. I think that's what they said.
Wolves in the city?
Well, it's outside. I think there's some caves nearby that they may be hiding out in. Escadar proper is a city, but you go much outside the limits and you're out in the wild.
Makes sense.
We're certainly capable.
Oh, I hope so. She goes ahead and takes an official-looking stamp, stamps it on your papers, signs off, hands the contract over. All right, don't let me down. And with that,
I will put the contract into my folder. Well, they have a folder.
Yep. Folder, contract acquired, official documents. Made your way through the bureaucracy successfully. And for doing so, you all get 80 experience points.
80 experience points.
Yep.
What are we at?
220?
220.
Okay.
I think I added the gold from last week onto your...
Okay. I did seem to have more gold than I was expecting, so although I now have less, but
All right. So as Derricus escorts you out of Andera Peldreen's office, he kind of chuckles. Nice work back there. Yeah, Delmar can be kind of an ass, but yeah.
Does he work for everyone? Whoever pays him today?
I don't know. Just, I guess, one of those goons for the Dust Lights. You know, her thing. As far as I can tell, at least. But hopefully you've put him in his place.
Did any of us know him before now?
Delamar, some of you might have. Let's see here.
Or is he like contracted by
yes. Yeah, she is. Delamar's kind of this is his job, is to run negotiations with the Escar City officials to try and smooth things over with the, law enforcement of Escadar. So this is what he does. You may have known him, like not had a lot to talk with him, because he's not usually at the circus all that often, and if he is, he's just talking to Mistress Dustlight. But you probably knew of him. So, but that Derricus escorts you off the property and off the official Conclave Square, and shows you to the outskirts of the city where your plot of land resides. With a couple hours or so, you're able to get the circus tent, the wagons and everything kind of circled around this plot of land. And you can see that there's a sort of open plain, and to the southeast there's this thicket of overgrown forest and brambles. You can see a fallen log blocking a path, and there's these kind of rocky outcroppings not too far from where the forest has encroached around it.
What time is it?
So by this point, it's probably getting the evening, like 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening. After having waited all day and had the negotiations and then moved out to the plot of land. So probably 5 or 6 or so.
Right, it'll be getting dark soon.
We're gonna have to keep an eye on things. I mean, she apparently obviously knows that we are here.
Oh yeah.
And has already murdered,
We
somebody.
didn't murder anybody. She
that's
sent her goons to murder us.
That's right. Tried to.
Well,
just
hope
come
that
to
she doesn't
insult
try
us.
again.
Would
They would-
probably be best to start preparing to start clearing brush and things, getting all of her tools in order, and then starting with it early tomorrow.
think we need a scythe.
Flamethrower.
You do have your a new wagon that has been set up with Mr. Sufyan and his goods coming with you.
Maybe we can burn the grass? That seems like a bad idea.
If you if you guys need anything, I could try to get it for you while you're doing the thing that you're doing.
This is your chance for the song.
Oh shit! Thanks. Where'd it go? We do have special store music. So, like, yeah, do y'all need anything? Like, some supplies for clearing out land? I mean, I have a sickle down there in the corner. If you need that. Or a shovel. I got one of those.
We'll come to you if we need anything.
Okay. Yeah, I do special requests, just as a heads up. Anyway, I really want to say thanks again for bringing me along. Really appreciate this opportunity to grow my business and travel with you guys and have kind of an adventure of my own.
We're very happy you're here, Sufyan.
Thanks.
Actually, this sickle will probably come in handy.
Okay. That's it's 2 silver. You want that? Oh,
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you for your business. I appreciate it.
Don't mention it.
Okay.
No, really, don't.
Oh, okay. I won't. Well, you have a good night. Bye. And
I leave.
you leave.
Thanks, Graham.
Evening sickle acquired. The roustabouts and everybody are starting to unload a little bit. They can kind of tell and see that, okay, we need to pull some of these brambles back, clear some space, try to find, start maybe taking some wood from the forest to build some fences for the animals, because you have exotic animals in your troop. So they start to kind of pack that, like make a few preparations, not doing a lot of work this evening, but kind of getting ready for it. So, anything else you want to do before you pack it in for the night?
I can't think of anything.
Do we want to be paranoid and set up a watch?
Yeah, it's probably not a bad idea.
I don't know how watches work in Pathfinder.
There's like a chart somewhere. Hang on.
Yeah, there's a chart.
Yeah.
I figured there was a chart.
Yeah. It's brilliant. It has a chart for everything. Yeah, it's kind of just of like how long it takes with how many people you have. So it's like, 3 watches or something. Let's see. But you certainly can, if you want to set up watches for the night. You all basically have a turn and a rotation of trying to do that. Party size 5, total time 10 hours, duration of each watch 2 hours. So it's assuming if one person stays up, each of you does it for 2 hours. So unless there's any complaints for that being the plan, everyone kind of taking a couple hours during the night to just keep an eye, see what's going on during all of this. Okay. So a cool, crisp night in Escadar, kind of not too far from the sea, as each of you tries to watch out for anything that might come of your new home. or at least new temporary home. During the night. That. Okay. Faith.
Yes.
During your watch, as you're not too far, maybe like 70, 80 feet away from the edge of the forest. And I believe you have... Do you have dark vision? I think you do.
I do, yes.
Okay, so this you can see in the dark, and you see just barely coming to the edge in the dead of night, the cool, cold night, are these four-legged figures. Gray cloak, gray fur. They kind of come and occasionally peer toward the edge, toward where you're sitting. They don't come any closer. They don't break through the tree line, but they're there, looking. At one point, one sits down and kind of stares in your direction for like a solid 5 minutes, just looking out. This wolf, the canine visage. Before they decide to go along. They'd move out
Well,
of
they
sight.
said there was wolves.
Yep. So when you all come to the next morning, Faith gives you confirmation of wolves.
I'm going to point out the area where I saw them and where they were going, with the assumption that that could possibly lead us back to their lair, should we want to do something about the wolves.
All right.
It might engender some trust or appreciation out of the town bureaucracy, so it might be in our best interest.
Yeah, I think it's in our best interest all the way around. We don't want to be attacked by wolves. We don't want our patrons to be attacked by wolves.
That would be a showstopper.
Does anybody really want to be attacked by wolves?
I mean,
You know, there are
sure,
probably people who are into that.
All right.
So, your plans for the day?
Let's go.
There's some brush. Do we have the equipment we need, or do we need to buy weed whackers? For which I mean a scythe.
It would certainly, the roustabouts and everybody would certainly appreciate it. They have some tools of their own that they can start, working. Their advantage is they have numbers and they have time to do so, and they can start just trying to clear things up a little bit around the edges of the forest and chop some wood. They definitely have axes and that kind of thing. So they're pretty well stocked, but if you all wanted to try and acquire some equipment for your own use, you can certainly try to do that.
Nah, I can't afford anything nice. I get my sickle to somebody else. One of our lackeys, sure.
Give it to a roustabout.
Yeah.
I mean, is a scythe a simple weapon?
It sure is. But I already have a dagger, so.
You know, on the off chance, this is actually, Graham,
Yes.
do I know anything about werewolves? Is there a check I can roll for werewolves?
Werewolf check, eh?
Yes.
Let's see.
Wow, a scythe expensive.
Yeah, that's a few gold.
Farmers must be rich in this economy, or very poor, I guess, depending how you
I was
look
going
at
to say,
it.
I think there's a difference between war scythe and a scythe for chopping your grains.
Let's see. So let's go to Horatio.
I mean, I think the difference is just marketing, but we can discuss that
Horatio, definitely heard of werewolves. Definitely know that they exist, and they are mean creatures. But as far as the specifics on what they're like and what they may do and any traits about them, you're not very read up on those old lycanthropes.
So, what if these aren't wolves, but werewolves? Anybody know anything about werewolves?
Do I even know what that is? Is that
So Oarshus, let's see. Oarshus, no. Oarshus, you don't even know what werewolves are.
How about me?
Marion, you're a bit more keyed into the strange and bizarre. It behooves your act to know of these little bit creepy things and things that go bump in the night.
It makes sense. Werewolves are cursed creatures. I'm also a cursed creature.
You find some
kindred spirit.
Exactly.
Yeah, probably would have come across something.
Sure. Yep. So you do know that lycanthropy is a thing. It is werewolves tend to dwell on the fringes of society in small settlements. In their humanoid forms, they work as normal folks, but at night sometimes they transform into violent killers and sadistic stalkers who prey on their neighbors. They are kind of, when anybody thinks of a were creature, they think first and foremost of werewolves. They try to hide their curse by adopting solitary lifestyles, and they retain the pack mentality of true wolves. They can form packs, can fit in a wolf form or in a hybrid form or a human form. Usually, though, that will affect in a certain time. Usually, a full moon will be a cause for a werewolf, and that there is a chance sometimes that they can pass the trait on to others by injuring them.
That sounds crazy. That's not a real thing.
It is. But when was the closest full moon?
1 sec.
Because I know you have that.
Put it in the calendar real quick.
Let's see.
That's like some children's tale or something. Nobody.
Oh, here we go. The last full moon was the night before last.
So it could be. I haven't heard about any werewolves forming pack bonds with actual pack wolves.
Clearly you haven't read Twilight. I don't know. I imagine that's what happened.
Fantasy Twilight. Which is Twilight, but...
That sounds made up.
I don't know. Are we jumping here? I mean, it could just as easily be some kind
have there been
rabies in the population or something.
I mean, they acted like wolves when I saw them last night.
Yeah, my money's on just wolves.
If they were rabbit, I feel like they would have attacked. Because aren't rabbit creatures usually aggressive?
So yeah,
let's hope.
I don't know. I think.
I mean, they're probably just looking for food. This is as much their land as it is ours.
Yeah, I imagine.
I think we'll have to investigate.
Not that I'm trained in. Minimize my window. Trained in survival. I don't think I am. Could any of us track where they went?
You certainly could if you head out and try to see.
I think Fabian is trained in survival.
I am not trained in survival.
I might be. I'm trained in like pretty much everything. I am trained in survival.
This cat has
Man,
as many
Roach just
layers
gets
as he has folds.
Awesome. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Then looks for a second like, should I be offended? Yeah, I can do a survival if we want to do some tracking.
All right, so you're heading out to see what these wolves, if they left any tracks, and what they'd be doing. Okay. I will.
And if it comes, well, I guess I haven't I'm just gonna post this here just so I can remember this. Don't let me forget if this becomes relevant, people.
Ooh, okay. Imprecise scent. Interesting. All right.
But I suspect I have not smelled a wolf ever.
Now Graham has to figure out which direction the
Certainly
wind
not
is
these
blowing.
ones.
Graham, how many miles an hour is the wind going?
Hold on. Desperately typing. So you all come to the edge, roundabout where Faith saw the wolves. And you come to this forest. Unfortunately, your catfolk senses of scent aren't helping you quite yet. It's not very far that you can really pick up the scent of creatures, but in the immediate vicinity, there's nothing that kind of tracks there. But however, coming to the edge here and noticing some broken branches and some muddy patches with some paw prints, you can look and see the most obvious like pathways through the woods. There are two of them, one with this fallen broken branch here down to the south of you, and one kind of to the southeast. And you can see that wolves seem to have kind of followed in the woods on this path here. So they seem to kind of lead toward the southeast, and if you approach a little bit closer to that area, you can see they went down that path.
We should definitely start the way they didn't go, right?
Why?
Because maybe we surprise them by going through the back.
I don't know if that's a back, though.
As long as nothing else surprises us.
And I doubt a wild animal is lying in wait for us either.
I mean, if the other way is just an empty cave or something, we haven't lost anything.
I mean, or we could just get lost.
But if we
don't want to go
follow the
away.
wolves and just bonk into a wolf,
We'll go
Well.
carefully.
Well, if they're just normal wolves, they're probably more afraid of us than we are of them, so, you know.
Don't the wolves not like fire or something like that? My spurious knowledge.
I think that's fair. Well,
I mean, aren't all wild animals supposed to be afraid of fire? Isn't that a thing?
I think you've read too many pulp stories.
well, who wants light on them?
not me.
It's not that dark, is it?
No, you mean unless you choose to venture out later in the day. It's pretty much any time you want the next day if you want to start tracking these wolves.
We might wind up in a cave. Well, let me know if you need light. I have that ready today.
What's the activity where you get... Well, whatever. I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to... I guess stealthing. Can I stealth forward?
Sure.
I want to scout.
Yeah, that's the one that gives the +1 circumstance to initiative.
Yeah,
But
I'm gonna do that.
Okay.
I will search.
I will also search.
Okay. Alrighty. So you begin heading out toward the brambles and the thicket of forest ahead of you. Where do you go?
Which one is the way the wolves went down?
Track them down this way. Yeah.
Alright. That way, then. Horatio's dumb.
Refuting your brother, you head down the path.
I was gonna say,
how
don't
thick is this?
run too
thicket?
far ahead.
Is
You
it?
don't.
It's very overgrown, so there's a lot of brambles and small brush and bush. So that's why it's blocking line of sight, just because you can't see through there. You could try to, crawl through there and crawl through the thicket and bushes if you want. It'd be greater difficult terrain.
Oh, I don't even know what that means.
So it's an extra. It's 15 feet total to move into a square.
Are those just trees?
Trees, undergrowth, brambles, bushes, just very overgrown.
Okay.
All right. Walking down the forest path.
Just gonna
Marion, you can kind of see a pathway off to your left that goes up against this rock outcropping over here, but there seems to be a pathway going that way. There's another pathway kind of heading out ahead of you by this fallen log. The wolf tracks head in this direction, off to the south east. To the south directly, you can peer through a pathway and see a fallen log crossing a small pond. There seems to be this island in the middle of the pond with a small stone structure kind of jutting out from it. And some, trees making convenient bridges from the near shore to the little island.
I do want to look at that later.
Yeah, let's put a pin on that on the map so we can come back.
Point marker.
Put a little question marker on it, I think.
Oh, there's like a little pool of water up there. I want to.
Yep.
How scenic.
You look and see a small little pond, or a little like puddle almost, but it has nice clear water, and there's this old oak tree standing right by it. Well, actually, it's make sure what kind of tree it is. Let's see. It may matter. Hang on. As you pass by that clearing, kind of tucked right between the water and the stone over here, there's this kind of furry mound that is resting by the water, kind of by the tree and the rock outcropping.
How big is said mound?
It's pretty big. It's
Like
not
bear-sized.
it's roughly bearish in shape.
If it's a bear, then we can't have that around either.
It's true.
Well,
Bears
we can't
are
be-
trickier.
We don't need to exterminate every animal in the forest. I mean, they were only having wolf problems.
Well, but if there's a wild bear, though.
Ideally,
No.
we're not going to exterminate anything. We're just going to scare them off.
I agree with that assumption.
Can we wrangle? Does anybody
Some nature checks.
lassoing?
Yeah. There's some bear wrangling.
That seems like a survival thing.
Well, I would love to
Maybe a
have magic
perfect
that lets me
or-
talk to animals. I don't.
If only such a spell existed.
Oh, I'm sure it does. I just don't know it.
All right, let's leave the bear alone.
Need
For
to
now.
find somebody who has magic, but also leaves in their hair.
Oh, we know somebody like that.
Yeah,
Alrighty.
preferably not that person.
Give me 1 second here.
We have a bear in our circus, though, right?
Yes. But we can't communicate with the bear in our circus.
Yeah, he's a trained bear.
Much like
But we have. Do we have the person who trained the bear? I guess is my
No.
point.
No,
I think they
that
died.
that was Marlin.
Yeah.
Or no, it wasn't Marlin. It was
the
Kiwi-
Great Fortunato. The Great Fortunato.
Great Fortunato. That's
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
He was
Passed
like
away.
mysteriously murdered
In Escadar.
in a mugging in
Yeah.
Escadar.
Yep.
Mysterious.
Mugging in quotation marks. I'm sure we all believe that. He was definitely assassinated.
All right.
Where we are now?
Yeah.
There we are now.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh.
Before you guys move farther, let me do one thing real quick. Switch
Why
this
I was
around just a
uncomfortable coming to
little bit.
Escadar.
The wolves are invisible.
Yep, a bunch of invisible wolves here. So, sorry, just making the wolves super invisible, giving them all haste.
Cool.
Yep, it's just
Rip and tear, one action.
Yep, rip and tear, one action. They're getting all the weapons from Doom, so they can rip and tear. No, we're gonna make this because there's no light in this cave. I think they did. Yeah, here we go. So let's do this. There we go.
This is me rolling my eyes back at Marion.
All right. You turn around and you can spot around the corner. There seems to be a cave entrance, and the tracks head toward the cave. And so I think Owarshisk was doing the void notice. We got
That's right.
Faith is doing the ready or scout to do that. Calder brothers are both doing search.
Yep.
And then Fabian, what were you doing? If anything.
I thought Fabian was tracking.
Yeah.
Oh, you're tracking. Okay, yeah, that works.
Although I suppose Fabian should probably be in the front.
Yes. Tracking from the back is a very Fabian thing to do.
Okay.
Just follow Marion's footprints. Like, we're getting closer, guys.
The footprints look
So-
fresh.
These footprints are so fresh. I can smell our prey.
Man, these wolves wear boots. Maybe they are werewolves.
So, looking at one thing real quick. All right. So, as you look around this cave entrance, the forest ends abruptly, where a sheer slab of quartz-studded granite looms over the treetops. A cave mouth yawns open in its side. The cave is dark, and its mossy walls are studded with patches of ghostly white fungus. A narrow tunnel at the back of the cave leads deeper into the hill, forking into paths leading north and northeast. So you see this cave entrance, only about 6 feet high, wide but low, and you see that Marion, since you were searching, you can see like little bits of metal right here at the entrance of the cave.
That looks like it could be some sort of trap, I say as I approach.
I detect magic.
Alright, send a ping out of magic, and there's no magic around you. As you approach Marion, you can see, there's just a couple of caltrops, rusty metal caltrops that are scattered around this square roughly. Pointing them out to other folks makes it very easy to avoid stepping on them, because they're just kind of littered there.
Interesting.
But they're rusty, like they've been in the weapon for a while.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to cast light on my bow.
Okay. Marion begins to glow.
I will cast light on Fabian's rapier.
Oh.
Fabian begins to glow. So there's...
Well-
Here we are 5 minutes later, and just like I said, we're walking into a cave that's dark.
Yes, you're very smart. Now shut up.
Ooh, this cave is very dark.
Light.
Whoa.
Cave is not dark anymore.
All right. Entering the cave. You see the passage to the north. Marion, you spot a lot more caltrops here. And you see some sign of like deliberately trying to obscure them. Like there are leaves and different leavings and whatnot around there, and it seems that definitely some kind of attempt at a trap.
Curious.
I don't think wolves normally leave traps.
What
No,
about
but this-
werewolves?
This sounds like free caltrops. Can I harvest those?
Free
You can.
caltrops.
Yeah, if you want to take some time to pick up all the caltrops.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me add those free caltrops to my inventory.
All right. As you're doing that, you look into this cavern to the north. You see torches burnt out years ago jut out from crude holes in the walls of this cavern. A fire pit and the remnants of a makeshift camp stand at the center of the chamber. Chunks of granite and dirt are heaped against the rocky walls as if someone attempted to clear the cave's floor. And at the same time, you're kind of looking in the chamber to your southeast. So pretty low ceiling in there. It's only about a 5-foot ceiling in this cave, so it's kind of coming in at head level for some of you. There's a pillar in there that you can see. So you can kind of just see on the other side that there's like, some sort of growth or maybe fungus or lichen or something along that's growing along kind of past the column to the east side.
I am much more interested right now in this room to the north. I would like to give it a good investigation.
All right. You come around to the room to the north, and start looking around. Let's see. As you do that, so the ceiling's about 7 foot high in here. The western side of this cavern's pretty swept clean, and there's a threadbare old sleeping bag. There's an old cracked water skin near a disused fire pit. Looking around there, there is a notebook in the bed. And you look it out. It's a loose-leaf parchment notebook bound in burgundy leather and tied shut with a knotted silver cord. You can tell kind of it's some kind of like journal, like the pages are yellowed and torn a little bit on the fringes and whatnot. We'll get to that, what you all see, in a moment. So you find this journal. There's also, like, picking out of it like a sketch that looks like kind of the cave system that you're in. You can see the cave entrance and whatnot. And you see that it points to this cave where the lichen is, and it says Wanderer's Folly, Danger. And also outside of the cave, it shows this little like X on a tree next to this little pond, and it's all hand-drawn notes, and there's kind of like a little, X marks the spot there. As Marion is enamored of this journal and whatnot, the rest of you start looking around and kind of peer around the other side, and you see through there these gray mounds of fur slowly kind of enlarging a little bit, going down, and you can just make out these sleeping figures of wolves in the cavern to the southeast. And everyone shuts the fuck up because they see the wolves, and especially the large one toward the back of the cavern.
Should we be in the cave with the wolves? I'm going to ask.
You sign.
Exactly.
So we, I'll sign back. This is why we came here, to get rid of the wolves.
I'll sign. I don't suppose we could just collapse the entrance somehow and problem solved.
Then they would. There could be other entrances too.
Good point. I guess we'll have to deal with this. Is there a way we can strategically set ourselves up, maybe? I have a funny feeling this isn't going to end well.
Well, we could try to barricade. There's a choke point right here in front of us. Could we?
One other thing that, since you're kind of figuring out and then like hushed and signing to each other what you can do here, in addition to looking through this threadbare bed, there's a small pit in the northeast corner here, kind of by where Horatio is. You look over and you see that there is a chest buried partially in this pit. Not terribly large, maybe about a foot or so wide, and about as much kind of squarish chest that is in there.
We're going to open that, aren't we?
Let's come back for it after we deal with the wolves, so we don't alert them.
You leave the chest where it sits.
How to do this?
So we don't want to. Is the plan not to kill them?
It would be better to just get them to leave.
Well, how are we gonna do that? Shoo them out of the cave, and then what?
I mean, this is probably their home. They're probably going to be unwilling to leave the cave.
I don't know. If I was a wolf and I got hit by lightning in my cave, I might leave the cave.
Sounds like a good plan to me. Alright.
Well,
So we'll get their attention, we'll let them come to us in this choke point here, and we can try to force them out the cave entrance.
should we give them a means then to escape? Like, use the choke points, but, I don't know, make it so they can actually flee on their own?
Yeah, I was thinking this choke point right here.
They
Yeah,
can also
sounds
just
good.
attack us too, and not flee.
Well, they could, but I think if we are menacing, sufficiently menacing, they will get the idea to take off.
The important thing is to not let them surround us.
Although, we are kind of backed into a corner in this scenario.
Unfortunately,
And we
so
have
would I.
someone who can shoot lightning bolts. Honestly, my money's on us.
Yeah, well, you stand in the back. You don't get gnawed on.
Oh, do you want me to come up to the front? I can do that.
Yeah, so I can, if I am right here, I can shoot a lightning bolt.
Mhm.
Right down that line.
Okay. Here we go.
Just around that corner. That means I have to get in front.
Can you do it and then run back?
Actually, so I could do it from Fabian. Just switch places with me.
Okay.
It's cornered. Well, even if it doesn't go all the way. Yeah, like that.
I'm gonna ready in action.
Alrighty.
I have Danica's whip.
Uh-huh.
If a wolf runs up to Horatio and tries to attack him, I'm gonna try to trip it with the whip.
Okay.
Another option instead of a lightning bolt, I did prepare hydraulic push. I could just blast them with water.
Save that for when they're here.
I need to push them
Yeah,
away.
good point. Okay, I lightning bolt.
As Horatio begins to gather up magical energy, conjure the proper runes and whatnot in the air, lightning begins to cackle, lighting up the darkness of the cave. The wolf's fur begins to stand on end, And just as the larger one in the back kind of slowly opens their eyes to look, Horatio finishes the spell. A bolt of lightning strikes out toward the wolves. Will the wolves respond? We'll find out. Next time on Really Playing Games.
I mean, my money's on yes, but I guess we'll see.
We'll find out.
Bye.